Here is an introduction to the drawing tools. In your toolbox, you'll find the brush tool in the central part. You can also press B. Click on the brush tool and come down to the bottom here and select the default black and white. So this is the stroke and this is the fill color. With the brush set at a medium brush size, draw a squiggle on your stage. You can't see where it is because it's white and the stage itself is white. You can tell there's something on the first keyframe because there's a black dot on the keyframe. To select it, click on the keyframe to select it, and there you can see where it is. Swap the stroke and the fill by using the arrow next to the fill and the stroke, that's down here, and now you can see it because the fill is black. A brush has the attribute of fill. It does not have a stroke. Now choose the selection tool and click to the side so that it deselects that. Select the brush tool and choose a bright color for the fill. Let's choose a bright blue. Draw a curvy line that doesn't touch the first line. You can see that there's smoothing, so when you're drawing it looks rough, but then the smoothing, which is over here in the properties, will even out the edge. Get your selection tool, click on the line, and it turns dotty. You can move it. Now, if you move it on top of the black line, and then deselect, and then select the black line, you can see that it cuts it apart. If you move the black line up on top of the blue line, deselect it, and then move the blue line, it also cuts up. This is called the cookie cutter effect. Now, if you use the object drawing mode, now let's get a brush tool, and then come down to the bottom and find the object drawing mode. Select that. When it's selected, you can draw with it, and let's make sure that we have an area here where you can draw it. Draw across the other shapes, and a box appears around it. That means it's an object. Now, you can select this and move it without cutting anything up. You can select the other things and move them around, and even though you have them in the same area as the object, it doesn't affect the object. So an object does not have the same attributes as a regular drawn shape. This can be very useful, but it's not always going to be something you want. Let's deselect all the objects, and you can do that by clicking to the side or using Command-Shift-A. The other type of selection tool that you might use is the sub-selection tool. And when you use the sub-selection tool and you click on an object, it shows you the points that are accessible to change the shape, almost like you do in Illustrator. You can change the curve handles, you can change the position, you can change it into a different type of curve. So these things are all accessible using the sub-selection tool. So deselect that. You can also use the shape tools. Here's the rectangle tool. Let's get a nice bright color. and draw a rectangle. With the sub-selection tool, you can edit some of the points in the same way. But also, if you have the selection tool and you come up to it, you have to deselect first and come up to it when it's not selected, get near an edge and you can get a curve or an angle displaying next to your cursor. That means that you can edit the actual shape. So I can draw out curves on the sides, or I can move the corners. You can also do the same thing to any of the shapes you've drawn, whether they be a regular shape or an object. As long as you have that angle or that curve, that means you can edit the shape. Now let's deselect and get the pencil tool. The pencil tool can be used to draw strokes. Turn off the object drawing mode and then set the color of the stroke. Let's set a color of red. And let's draw a nice stroke. The stroke can be edited with the sub-selection tool, much like you do any of the shapes. But since it is only a stroke and doesn't have any fill, it just appears differently when you select it with the sub-selection tool. You notice it went to, this is the color of this layer in the timeline. So now if I deselect that, you can also select it with the selection tool. And if it only selects part of the line, that means you have to double click to select the entire stroke. But if you've got it selected, you can change the width of the stroke. Okay, so now this is the first tutorial. There are a couple ways to do the save. You can either save by pulling down from File to File Save, or you can use the keystroke command, which is Command S. Okay.